Alright guys, welcome back. I love you guys. I got a can of air next to me, and if you know, you know. But I want to start this video out with a little transparency. As you guys can see here, my YouTube analytics, they have been basically green all over the place, plus 411 subscribers. But the one thing that's bothering me is this right here. In the past 2 days, 1,100 or 1,017 of you have been returning to my channel. Now, my audience retention is about 11% of you guys are subscribed, and the other 89% of you guys are not. So that means with that quick math, there's about 890 of you guys that keep coming back to my channel who are not subscribed. So do me a favor, subscribe, because if all of you guys subscribe, we'll be at 2,000. And, if you guys are already coming back to watch my channel, you might as well subscribe. Anyways, guys, let's jump into this video and let's get started talking about the top 5 tames that need a TLC. So starting off with number 5, that is going to be the Mosasaurus. Now, this creature needs some major love, like major. It needs a new look, it needs some new animations, it also needs like a damage increase, and also I think it needs to have a unique ability, and I think that TLC that would make it just pop in the current meta, in the current sandbox, is if the Mosa actually had the ability to grab like aquatic animals and like smaller like land dinos with its mouth. Like, so for example, I think the most annoying underwater soaker to deal with in the game is the Basilosaur, because you can't bleed it. It's the tankiest thing on the planet. You can't grab it with the Tuso. So if the Mosa could be used to grab it and bring it back to base and get it out from soaking, I think that would make the Mosasaur insane. And I think the Mosasaur also needs a bite force increase. I think it should have more damage. I think it should be a little bit bigger, because it should, in a way, be the Giga of the water. So it needs to have kind of like a scare factor to it. It needs to just be like scary. You need to like see it and fear it. Nobody's scared of a Mosa. You're more scared of a giant squid than you are of a Mosa. So anyways, if the Mosa's TLC could literally be where it can like grab dinos and then it can crush it with its mouth, maybe it does like a damage per second where like it drains health or does something, but it uses up a lot of stam. Like maybe it does like, maybe it just eats up stam while you hold something in its mouth because it's like crushing it to kill it. I think that'd be a very cool mechanic. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think of that. Now, moving on to number 4 is going to be the Plesiosaur. Now, this guy needs work everywhere. Look at this ugly motherfucker. Look at this dumb, long dick neck body. It literally looks like what I would imagine a penis flying through the air. That's what I would imagine, just a long shaft with appendages. Now, this guy, what I was thinking for a TLC is obviously like looks, etc. But also, honestly, I feel like it should kind of be like a Yudi in the water. Like, I mean, like, look at its ugly, dumb face. Like, it looks creepy. Look at those teeth. Now, imagine if this guy could let out a shriek in the water that could, like, fear dinos, kind of how the Yudi can. Or it could, like, encourage or buff dinos, like allied dinos, and make them do increased damage and take reduced damage. Now, the way I think they can kind of make this balance in a sense is it will only apply to aquatic tames. And the reason why I say only aquatic is because eventually when cryopods come out, people are going to be raiding with stegos underwater and tech rexes, like, and of course we can use basilos, but people are really going to just want to bring their stegos potted, bring a megashalon, stuff like that. So I think honestly, if the buff only applied to aquatic tames, I think it would balance it, because stegos don't need to be buffed in the water like that. I think if you would just buff the basilos and the and even the carbos and stuff, I think that would be really cool. Just a cool mechanic to like help with water PvP. And also it could fear. And I think if it had the ability to fear, it could also like fear like, it could also fear like basilos too. So they could be like a second counter. Because basilos, like I said, you can't bleed them, you can't grab them. So I think if the Plesiosaur had the ability to like do a shout, I think that'd be very cool. Anyways, it's a creature that I hope gets some love going into ASA, but we'll see. Now moving into number 3, this one is going to be the Calicum. I think that's how you say it. Now, this guy, I think he looks cool. I don't really think he needs like a design upgrade. I think his overall presentation and look is cool, but nobody tames them. People usually tame during events to get like a cool color and just have them around the base because they just look cool. They just sit there and they look badass. Like, honestly, you can't deny it. But I think what would be cool is, I think it would be cool if you could give them grenades. And I would say give them a regular frag grenade and a narc nade, because they can throw boulders and they can throw poop. So like if you could give them the ability to basically like whenever they throw their rock has like grenades attached to it. So they would throw it and it would bounce around and explode until the rock shatters. I think that'd be a very badass mechanic. And then maybe they could make it to where the damage of the explosion actually scales with the melee damage of the tame instead of the saddle. Maybe that might be too much, but maybe I'm just getting a little kind of carried away thinking of what they could do. And then maybe with the poop, what they could do is like he can just throw the poop and you'll be slowed, but you'll be narked at the same time. So you'll be stuck and you'll basically be walking around spreading like the gas fumes everywhere. I think that would kind of be cool. Add like a new dilemma to PvP. Maybe that's actually kind of broken. Let's maybe take that back. But I think the Calicum theorem could use a TLC. Maybe something where like it could do something with projectiles to just make it more viable in PvP. I really just want to see these cool tames that like nobody uses, see them bring it back. Now, let's talk about two of the teams that I really want to see get a TLC. And number 2 is going to be the Bronto. Now, hear me out when I say this. The Bronto used to be the meta for soaking because like it had a lot of health. You know, they were just big. You know, it was hard to get. Like they were just the meta. Okay, like we used them a lot in Legacy, but then they noticed that okay, the health pool on them were too much. So they nerfed the health pool and they increased the amount of damage they take from turrets. So people stopped using them. They migrated to Paracerethiums. Now I think what they should do, in my opinion, is get rid of the whole increased damage to turrets. I think they should have a higher health scaling than Paracerethiums, but I think since you can't level up movement speed, they're going to be slower now, so I think that's balanced. But what I think they should do in the TLC to make them kind of a cool PvP tame is I feel like they should have a dismount ability. Now, before everybody in the comment section rips me a new one for saying that, just hear me out. Now, what if the Bronto could stand on its back 2 feet, and let's say it was like a charge up, right? Like, you know, it was like a 3-second animation for it to stand up on 2 feet and then just pound the ground. And if it pounded the ground and you were like in a certain AoE of it, you would get dismounted. You want to be stunned, you would just be dismounted, you know, like, and if you were like a player on the ground, it would be like, if you were a player on the ground, you would get stunned, but if you were like on a tame, like a Giga, a Rex or something like that, you would get dismounted. Now tell me that would not be badass. Now, obviously you can't level up movement speed. You know, there's big and slow, so I feel like that's where the balance is, but I think that'd be a cool way for it to be able to defend itself. Now, whenever it does this, though, I think to, like I said, make it more balanced and fair for PvP, I think the Bronto should it should drain a lot of its stamina. And I think what it should also have is like kind of like a meter that fills up, that means like it's ready to go again. This way you can't see people spamming it over and over and over. Because like I think there needs to be controlled CC in games. I'm a big believer in infinite CC is not balanced, so I think this thing needs to have like a timer to like kind of mitigate its own cooldown. So maybe it's like every like 10 seconds the Bronto can rise up and smack the ground. Something like that. I think that's balanced. I think that's fair, and then it drains its own stam. Now moving into number 1. This one might be controversial, and you guys might hate me for this, but the Pteranodon. Now, the Pteranodon I think I would like to see it get a new look, just a whole brand new look aesthetic, because the PT is just an amazing creature. It's beautiful. It's like, it's such a good PvP tame, and I just hate the fact that we're really only going to get about a year to enjoy it before Pteranodon becomes shit. And everybody knows Pteranodon's going to become shit. I don't want to see the keyboard warriors coming to my comment section talking, oh, you know what you're talking about, blah, 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 okay? Listen, we all know later on it's going to happen, but what I'm thinking that would be cool to make the PT like balanced or and kind of make it viable in the meta, as a lot of people like PTs for PvP, but also for scouting. They're like kind of like the preferred scouting flyer, especially early on in Arc before the Griffins came out, Snow Owls, etc., and Manas. People really like PTs. So what if for the Pteranodon, right? It had like a little slot. It's not like a new saddle, but it just had like a thing where you could give the PT like a spyglass. Okay, and with this spyglass, you could actually ping targets. You could ping places. Now I know they said there's a ping system coming in game. We don't know how that works exactly. Like, is it just like hey, over there, enemy, or is it like can you actually highlight? If you can't highlight it, you know how like the Plesiosaur has those rings that blink around and like in the area that they were last seen in. Well, what if the PT could actually highlight the target for like, let's say 3 seconds, 3 or 5 seconds, somewhere like that where it's balanced, you know, and like you could look at it and like, and whenever you go into first person, when you equip the spyglass, you're actually in like the zoom, you're in like that zoom spyglass form with the PT to actually see the target. And if you see them, you like click a button, the PT like lets out like a caw or whatever, and then like the target's highlighted. I think that would be very cool. I think that'd be a really cool mechanic and make the PT stay viable forever. Because if you were able to actually fly around and highlight targets on the battlefield, that would be crazy. Because you would know exactly where people are, etc. Because the Parasaur is great, but the Parasaur just sends out these dumbass circles everywhere, and it's just like, and you kind of just know where they are, but they could be over here all of a sudden. But let's say the target just stays highlighted and they run. Anyways, guys, that's the video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. Let me know down below what dinosaurs you guys want to see get a TLC going into ASA. And remember, guys, there's over 1,000 of you that are not subscribed. If all of you motherfuckers would just subscribe, we would be at 2,000 subscribers. Remember, guys, I got a can of air, and someone's ass is getting blown.